Ooh, 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 ooh. This Gemini new moon, you guys, let me tell you a quick story. So, back in the day, when my parents initially started dating, right after they graduated college, they split up. My mom went back to her home, my dad went back to his, and they were across the country from each other. My dad would run up the phone bill trying to talk to my mom. This was back in the day before unlimited long distance, way before cell phones. Landlines calling across the country came with a cost. And as a result, on phone bill day, my grandfather would get so upset with my dad because he made their phone bill sky high. He'd open the bill, walk in the room where my dad was, slam the bill down in front of my dad, and say, "Pay it," and walk out. And my dad tells this story as one of the ways the universe told him, if you want this woman, you gonna have to step up. And that's thematically what we're seeing with this Gemini new moon taking place on June 14th at 10:53 p.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States. The cost of clarity is going to be commitment, and this Gemini new moon is asking us to pay it. The entire chart here surrounding this Gemini new moon is essentially circling one tension. Gemini energy wants to keep all options open and stay in exploration mode. But every major aspect to this new moon is adding pressure through obsession. That's Nessus. Through wounds and grievances. That's this Chiron and Eris. They're in Aries. Through Lilith's refusal to play unless she's getting it her way. And that's specifically about avoiding the moment of decision. The vibe here is productive discomfort. This isn't a soft, dreamy new moon. Sorry, Venus and Jupiter, as much as you've been working hard for us, I know you want us to have good things. We're gonna have to step over and through a portal in order to have them. It's a new moon instead that's going to flush out where we are hiding in ambiguity because clarity feels like a loss. The gift in this is that this tension, it's actually generative, it's productive, it's helpful. It's not going to let us stay stuck, but only if we're willing to do the Virgo work, discernment, strategy, precision, decision making, rather than spinning in shadow side of Gemini loops or collapsing into victim consciousness. Thanks and no thanks to Chiron and Eris in Aries. The emotional undercurrent running through everything here has a lot to do with the fear of starting over as new moons portend new beginnings. That's the thread. Lilith can protect confusion. Nessus can demand things go a certain way. The Eris and Chiron feeds the why does this always happen to me feeling that we can get ourselves into. They're all versions of us white knuckling an outcome because letting go can feel like too much. And here's the invitation. Flexibility is not the same thing as avoidance. It's also not the same thing as giving up what it is you need and what it is you want. Real Gemini energy will work to explore until we land at a win-win, but you're gonna actually have to want one. Let's get into this piece by piece. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Kay Moon, and I'm a Western astrologer and twin flame channel. And this is your Gemini new moon breakdown for lightworkers and way showers. Here's our Gemini new moon at the 24th degree of Gemini. We have an opposition here to Lilith, and that is going to make a focal point of this new moon about getting what we want. The challenge is going to be knowing the answer to that with any certainty. It may be unclear with the new moon in Gemini. We may want this, we may also want that. The two things may feel diametrically opposed. If the answer is, I'm not sure, it's also appropriate to know that you want to explore the option before we commit anything, and that's okay. In shadow, however, Lilith opposite a new moon, especially this one in Gemini, can bring out manipulation, hiding, and covert tactics to get our way. It can also express itself as blunt, brute force, truth, and tactics that are slightly heavy-handed. With a Gemini new moon, this can be about protecting our ability to stay in confusion because the cost of clarity is starting over or letting go, something that we don't want to have to part with at a new moon's new beginning cycle. Now, in the light, there are some good things here. We can lean into this. This kind of new moon energy can help us to see where things are one-sided or unfair, either to ourselves or to others, with deeper conversations, deeper curiosity, and a willingness to explore, possibly multiple times. This aspect can produce win-win solutions that make it easier to navigate new terrain. The trick here is to harmonize Lilith's unwillingness to participate when we're not getting our way with Gemini's capacity to stay open in a way that leaves everyone involved more included rather than less. Victim consciousness is a real sabotage to that outcome. This square here to Nessus, or from Nessus to the new moon, it brings an element of obsession into the mix, a wanting to make sure, guarantee that we get things our way, since Lilith is in communication with not only the new moon, but also with Nessus, forming a T square. That creates some real tension. How do we generate solutions that are for you and for me? How do we work with the demand for flexibility from the Gemini new moon while simultaneously navigating that we have certain non-negotiables? That's the Lilith component. The gift of the tension is that it ensures that we get to work together to find solutions, and I love to see it. When there's a T square in the sky like this, the solution comes from occupying the sign conspicuous in its omission in that mode. And we have occupation in 3 of 4 mutable modes: Lilith in Sag, Nessus in Pisces, New Moon in Gemini. Where there's no luminary occupation is over here inside late degrees of Virgo. That's the 4th mutable sign. What this means is that we need to bring into any situation that comes up a decisiveness, detail orientation, dedication, discernment, a plan, a strategy, a policy, and precision. We may need to use Gemini's flexibility, curiosity, and adaptability, or Sagittarius's clarity and Pisces' ability to assume good intent and higher spiritual principles. But if we can do the Virgo thing in addition to that, this is what's going to allow us to resolve tensions. No Virgo, no solutions. So be mindful of what element of Virgo's light your challenges call for should they come up at this new moon. Now, if you're new here, this is how I work with T squares. We all have stardust, starlight, divine spark, luminary energy within us. When the T squares show up, we get the opportunity to, like I said, occupy that sign that has no luminary energy, become that luminary energy, and it resolves the tension of the T square. So we get to all be Virgo at this new moon, and that actually resolves a lot of our challenges. The only caveat I have to avoid, you don't want to lean into Virgo shadow. That's not going to help us here. So the perfectionism, criticism, victim consciousness, all of the shadow sides of Virgo Look for where there are solutions and options. That's the Gemini piece. Then do your Virgo due diligence to take advantage of them. Okay. Now, let's get into some other aspects to this new moon in Gemini. We see a semi-sextile to Jupiter conjunct Mercury there in Cancer. This is going to support communication during this period of tension and open opportunities for clarity, especially in communications that aren't operational or logistical, but instead where emotions are involved and it's purely relational. This is going to help smooth communication, open communication between people so that we're able to understand one another. It's going to place a value and a premium on clear communication, and in some cases, copious communication rather than less communication. Here's the caveat. If you know that you're the kind of person to share way too much, this will have you go into hyperdrive. Again, the Virgo discernment will help you significantly. If you know you're the kind of person who rarely says what needs to be said on matters of the heart in a timely fashion, this may have you say it all at once and leave with a slight vulnerability hangover, and that's okay. Lean into it. While Mercury is retrograde, which is coming up here shortly, there will be a chance to work through the impact of that with others. We also see this new moon receiving a trine to Haumea retrograde here in Scorpio. If Haumea was just back here a few degrees at the final degrees of Libra, that would be a bit more of an exact trine, but there she is, early degrees of Scorpio in retrograde. This aspect has the potential to bring some creativity into the mix, but with Haumea retrograde and the sign of closures, and inside of the sign of closures in alchemy, this is going to require that we're willing to let go of fixed or rigid ways of doing things and embrace the exploration and curiosity embedded in Gemini. When we truly lean into, okay, so how it's worked or how I thought it was going to work, it doesn't actually work like that, or it's not going to work like that anymore. So what can work? What are my other available options? The jump off point is what I've come to know isn't what it's going to be any longer. And if we can embrace that, it's going to allow us to step into the new timeline available with this new moon. This new moon also sees a trine from Chariklo retrograde in Aquarius over here at the 26th degree, speaking to new moon in Gemini at the 24th degree. So while there is some blessing here in Chariklo aspecting this new moon, it's really going to be a bit more self-generated, team, collective generated, rather than divine orchestrated, since Chariklo is retrograde. When she's direct, we have hand of divine intervention on the situation. That said, one of the great lessons of our years of Pluto in Aquarius is that there is power in teams, there is power in groups, there is power in collectives and in friendships. And I'm definitely seeing the power of the hive mind show itself in the Star Club community as members are sharing resources, referrals, and pivotal reframes with one another that are creating breakthroughs in their love connections, their job prospects, relationships with their kids, opportunities for school and relocation. And it's amazing to watch the power of community change lives in real time. It's so much bigger than just getting a reading from me because now you have me plus a team backing you up when you're a Star Club member. You've got access to intel that's more than just what's in my head, and that's life-changing. Whether you join Star Club or you found another community online or offline, the power is in the hive mind at this time. The support, the help, the aid is in community. We also have a sextile from Eris and Chiron, they're in Aries, speaking to this new moon. Okay, so there's a little option here to be in shadow with this new moon through this aspect, with the experience and consciousness of why do things always go wrong for me? Why are people always gaslighting me? Everyone takes advantage of me. Why do things never work out for me? Why am I always the one that gets told no? Why am I always excluded? General victim mentality loops is how this aspect plays out in shadow. I'm not immune to them. We all have them. These two, Eris and Chiron in Aries, can bring out the worst in each other, especially in aspect to the Gemini new moon. This is where we can constantly be looking for and waiting for the other shoe to drop, to fit into an old story that we may have about how life works, or about ourselves, or about other people, or our prospects, as Gemini governs storytelling and with an aspect from Jupiter can definitely slide right into exaggeration or gossip or unaccountable language in communication, which Chiron and Eris are certainly prone to when they get into the mix. So, this is something to be mindful of. Solutions here include things like assuming good intent, staying flexible and adaptable, operating in graciousness, being solution oriented, working together and being cooperative with others. All of these are the light side of Gemini. Shout out to Geminis. Happy birthday. That will help us resolve this energy and turn it into light. One of my favorite frames to operate from in this energy is a policy of zero make wrong. They're not doing it wrong, and I'm not doing it wrong. Nobody's inherently bad. No one's intentionally messing anyone else's thing up. When we can release ideas about right doing and wrong doing and release fault finding and instead relax into how do we make this fit? How do we make this work? We can find significantly more solutions because we're no longer fighting an underlying idea of some type of loss or attack, which likely isn't real, or a perceived threat to our identity. We're now free to find the win-win solution. So I like to see that option and opportunity in the sky, but in order to grasp it, we may be faced with the mirror. Gemini certainly deals with mirrors of where our own victim consciousness has robbed us of the opportunity to step forward and instead held us back with Chiron and Eris in Aries. Okay, we have a semi-sextile to Mars and Taurus here as well, so let's talk about that. This aspect adds an element of motivation to get on with the needed Gemini things. In the light, we get the impetus to communicate and share the thing, the push to figure out the new solution through experimentation, the drive to stay curious and open to possibilities. In shadow, on the other hand, this can be where the harsh words, slander, gossip, and cutting communication come from, either in mind or spoken word about ourselves or about another. Again, the solutions are all about leaning into the light side of Gemini and that Virgo discernment, detail orientation, and decision making. And if you're being hard on yourself, I want to say this: stop, knock it off. I happen to like the person who's sitting here listening to me and having this conversation and a part of our community. I'm going to need you to be a little nicer to them, okay? Like, they're cool. Trust me, they wouldn't be here if they weren't. Cut them a little bit of slack, assume a little good intent, and support them where they need support. All right? Be nice to my friends. That means you. Now, in a moment, I'm going to share which signs are likely to feel most pushed, most triggered by this new moon, and give you a first look at the full moon in Capricorn so you know how the energy progresses from here into the next lunation. But before we do that, here's a heads up about what else is happening in the sky at this time. We see Mercury here in shadow in Cancer, and he's about to go retrograde. We're going to talk about this more in depth in Star Club. And those of you in Star Club already have an overview of what to expect with this in your retrograde guide for 2026, as well as the next Mercury retrograde this year in Scorpio. But we'll break down in greater detail what aspects influence this Mercury retrograde and how to work with the energies so it doesn't derail your communication or plans in business, travel, or love, as this Mercury retrograde will see emotions run high since it's in Cancer, and the potential for misunderstanding is going to be significant. This Mercury in shadow at present time is going to be, it is opposite Pholus there. That's toxicity and poison there in Capricorn. It is conjunct Jupiter here inside of Cancer. It is square the shaman's asteroid there in Libra. It is also trine to Juno over here in Aquarius. Juno is now retrograde. There's a trine to Chariklo in Aquarius as well. A square to Nessus here in Pisces, and a square to Eris, a trine to Nessus in Pisces, and a square to Eris and Chiron there in Aries, and a sextile to Mars in Taurus. This is a lot. There's a lot of pressure for Mercury to be under. Many of you are probably already feeling some of the mental strain and the mental heaviness of this. This can cause you to have some very precise dreams, some very okay. A dream interpretation of my own dream just showed up. Sidebar, y'all want a funny story? Here's a funny story. I've had to really lean into the Virgo energy of this new moon for myself in the last week as ironed out a lot of logistical details behind the scenes in Star Club. It's a significant reason why you haven't seen me online or inviting you to Star Club, because the logistical details needed to be handled as I began to bring team members into my business. Last night, okay, let me just, before I say that, I love you guys who are Virgos, but man, y'all have a skill set that my nature just cannot organically embrace. It takes so much effort for me to step into it in a way that I see it come so natural to you. And I envy the effortlessness of the Virgo work ethic. Shout out to you guys. I admire it. I'm just not built that way organically. That being said, though, I've had to just roll up my sleeves and dig in. Last night I had a dream, and in the dream, um, I was in a house that had a knock on the door by a visitor. The visitor was a young girl. I said, "What are you doing here? And where are your parents? What is your name?" She said her name was Killjoy. I was like, oh God, let me wake up. Let me wake up. I don't want Killjoy at my doorstep. Now, for Virgos, I know that doing your Virgo thing is actually quite joyous for you. It's a gateway and an access to divinity. But for me, oh my God. It's the opposite. So I've been doing my best. Thank you to my new team members for helping me out. But wow, um, it's a feat to learn how to roll up your sleeves and lean into precision, details, discernment, decision making for someone like me who prefers to operate in the arena of the intuitive. That being said, I embrace it. Killjoy, come in. Come in, girl. We're going to give you a new name because clearly I need you and you need me at this point. But the pressure that Mercury is under, and Mercury is the governor of Virgo, which is the energy we need to occupy to iron out challenges at this new moon. With Mercury under so much pressure from so many asteroids and planets, this gives us a lot of mental weight to this new moon. And if you've been really doing a lot of mental calculations in our lunar circle in Star Club, we're going to talk about how to take the pressure off, specifically what the pressure is about. We're also going to talk about like I said, the Mercury retrograde and how these planetary aspects tee up the themes for the retrograde so that you can utilize the retrograde productively and not get caught in the weeds of watching energy happen, having your plans delayed, having your tech break on you, etc., etc., etc. Now, also in the sky, we see Venus in Leo. Again, no offense to the Virgos. Listen, I need to embrace this Virgo energy as much as anyone else. And shout out my team members who I've brought in, they're Virgos because I'm learning as much as I can from them about how to build this muscle. So I love it. Here is the Venus in Leo, first degree energy. Venus is conjunct Jupiter. It's would be such a nice vibe if it wasn't square Chiron and Eris and Aries. And for some of you, it is a nice vibe because you've overcome this energy. For others of you, this is a mirror and that's letting you know what's blocking the nice vibe. Because Jupiter Venus conjunctions classically more money, more money, more money, more love, more love, more love. It's a fabulous placement for bringing in more of what you desire. But with an aspect from Chiron, who's all about rejection, and what's her name? Eris, also about rejection, wounds and not healing, and disenfranchisement and a pretty exact square at that, this is going to open up some challenges accessing that beautiful energy that Jupiter and Venus together typically bring. Plus, we also have Venus opposite Pluto, which can lend itself to a vibe of, but I don't have a choice when it comes to certain things feeling overpowered by some of the people, that's the Aquarius around you. We've got a trine to Neptune there in Aries, which can bring a little bit of the dizzy to the conversation if it's not being managed carefully as spiritual discernment. And then on top of that, we've got this trine to Nessus as well, a little bit of obsession also in the mix. And Uranus in Gemini is sextiling Venus as well. Now, Venus, just like Mercury, is under a ton of pressure with these aspects. Over in Star Club, we're going to do some work together to understand how to work with this so that the benefit of the Venus Jupiter conjunction isn't blocked from you in our lunar circle this week. And if you want to join Star Club, the link to do that will be below. We're also going to do some ritual work with the air element to take advantage of this energy and navigate some of the emotional intensity that can come up for those of you who are experiencing that, and take advantage of the light side of this for those of you who are in a place of already feeling the light. We're going to expand on some of that with the ritual work we get up to tomorrow. So get ready, Star Clubbers. I'm excited to do this with you. Recording will be in your member area if you miss it. That being said, in a moment, I'm going to share signs who are going to feel this most. But for those of you who haven't yet done so, Star Club is about to close its doors. Membership is available. There is one spot left for new full moon, and that comes with 3 readings once per month over the next 90 days. It's $333 for those 3 half-hour readings. They're $111 a piece. We've got 4 spots left for new moon membership. That's $433. Full moon allows you to have the readings in community. New moon is classically what you know as a reading with me, which is just you and me one-on-one. But I strongly recommend that you join Stellium if you have not already and you're not sure if you need a reading or not. The Stellium membership allows you to get access to live events with me. And we just recorded last week Uranus and Gemini for all 12 signs and manifestation window part 2, where I went through all 12 rising signs and what to expect as low-hanging fruit for access to manifestation during this manifestation window. Tomorrow, we're going to do the Gemini New Moon Lunar Circle. And then we have live readings tomorrow as well for those of you who are full moon members. Then we're going to take a deep dive on Pholus and Capricorn, as many of the new and full moons this year deal with Pholus energy. Pholus again is the energy of toxicity, of poison, of being in the wrong place, doing the right thing, but at the wrong time. I'm going to talk about how to avoid that this year as you step on that new timeline. We've got a member voted live next week, and then Juno's about to go retrograde. Actually, she already did. We're going to talk about Juno retrograde and all 12 signs, among many other live events coming up in Star Club. I'd love for you to have access to them. You can get them with the Stellium membership, along with a vibrant community that ongoingly is in conversation in the member area, supporting each other. We get lunar ritual and journal work, as well as member-only savings when I do open the reading calendar, which I promise you it's not coming soon, as well as dedicated astrological content. So if you know you'd like a little bit more time understanding this information, you want to be able to pick my brain, Stellium is the way to go. But if you know you want my eyes on your chart, somebody else's chart, kids, your husband, your counterpart, your friend, your dog, your grandparent, your mom, your boss, then join the new moon or the full moon membership so that you're able to take advantage of my ability to read the charts for you. I want to just quickly show you the distinction when it comes to these memberships, because I know some of you guys are like, wait, what? How does it work? There are 3 half-hour readings in new moon that totals 433 each total. That means the readings break down to 144 a piece. If you were to get regular half-hour readings with me, they total 564 USD, 188 each. You're going to save a total of $131 instead of paying 23% more. That's an important distinction, and there are only 4 of those readings left, memberships left. These are the new moon memberships. Both new and full moon membership come with availability to read with me in June, multiple charts that we can look at, ongoing Q&A, weekly deep dives. There's 2 live deep dives. You can really get access to me and pick my brain twice a month, as well as ongoing community support. When you only get 1 reading, you don't get any of that. You don't get any of that access to me, to the community, to additional support. And the full moon, and there's only 1 of these left, somebody just bought before I had time to update this. There's actually only 1 left. Same, 3 half-hour readings, but they're done in community. It's 333 instead of 433, so that makes it 111 each instead of 188 each. And you save $231 if you're going to use the relationship readings instead of paying 40% more. So the link to join Star Club is below this video. If you know you've been waiting for me to open my calendar and you're feeling like, oh, I missed it, she doesn't do readings anymore, that's not actually true. Don't victim consciousness yourself. I, like you, have been invited by my higher levels to step onto my new timeline. So I'm just calibrating to what I'm being asked to do. If you want to access me, we're just going to recalibrate together to the new timeline. And the way to do that is through Star Club, where you get significantly more support for a significantly lower price. Okay, that being said, link to join is below. I want to talk about the signs who are going to experience this new moon the most. Of course, we're talking about Gemini, certainly the Virgos in the house. Bless you for those Virgos who joined my team. Thank you. The Sagittarius folk, and then the Pisces people as well. And of course, Aquarius and Libra, the other 2 air signs, especially if you were born in the 2nd month of your sign, or if you have a late degree sun, moon, rising, or stelliums in any of these signs. you are going to feel this new moon the most. Let's take a look now at where this energy progresses as we get into the full moon in Capricorn. So this is the segment called First Look, where I take a look at where the energies go from the current new or full moon. This is my first look at the Capricorn full moon. It's taking place on June 29th at 7:56 p.m. Check a time zone for your local time. Full moon, Capricorn, 8 degrees. What aspects do we have? Oh, right, fullest, huh? Hi, friend. And we also see semi-sextile to Pluto and Juno retrograde there in Aquarius. We've got an aspect to Neptune. That's already extremely potent spiritual work going on. In addition to that, we see, okay, a trine from Chiron there in Taurus. Big feelings are going to be happening. Mercury will be retrograde by that point. Motion's going to be running high as Jupiter and Mercury are at the tail end of Cancer. Again, if you're in Star Club, I'm going to prepare you for how to work with this in our lunar circle taking place tomorrow. You can always get the recording if you join Star Club after tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. I'm recording this on Wednesday. And then in addition, we see the Shaman's asteroid square this full moon in Capricorn there in Libra. When I look at all of this, I'm seeing a lot of energy, creation goddess as well, Haumea, sextile this full moon. I'm seeing a lot of opportunity for transcendence and transmutation as well with this full moon. And the transmutation has a lot to do with releasing old identities of self. And how apropos with Jupiter at the 29th degree of Cancer, preparing to walk into the sign of self-sovereignty and create expansion for us in the sign that deals with our personal creativity. With that being said, I can't wait to talk to you about it when we get there. The lead up for being prepared to that is now. I can't wait to talk to those of you in Star Club about how we prep ourselves so that that full moon coming doesn't have to be a heavy one. If you heard something that resonates, please like, please share, please subscribe. You can definitely drop a comment below the video. Let us all know how it resonates or what you're experiencing. Sometimes your experiences, I have found, are completely validating for other people walking through and growing through the same thing. So it's always nice to see the community share, support, and uplift each other. If you're joining me for the Twin Flame Lunar Update for Divine Counterparts, Soulmates, etc., I'll see you over there. Thanks so much for being here. Take great care and bye for now.